Today, we're digging into a huge trade dispute that's flaring up between two of the world's biggest players, China and India. This isn't just some minor disagreement. China has actually taken India to the World Trade Organization. So let's break down exactly what's going on.
You hear about trade spats all the time, but this one is different. We're talking about two economic powerhouses going toe-to-toe on the world stage. So what's really driving this thing? What's at the heart of it all?
Okay, so it all kicks off right here with a brand new trade dispute. The first official move was China filing a formal complaint against India at the World Trade Organization, or the WTO. This is where the legal battle really begins.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the complaint itself. So this all went down in December 2024. You've got China as the plaintiff, the one bringing the case, and India as the defendant. And it all centers on two really key industries, solar power and IT. The core of China's allegation, that India is playing fast and loose with global trade rules that they both agreed to follow.
Now, China's case is kind of split into two main parts. Let's start with the first one, which is all about tariffs. And the big question here is pretty simple. Is India charging way too much in taxes on imported goods?
Before we go any further, there's a key term you've got to know, the bound tariff rate. The easiest way to think about it is as a price tag promise. It's the absolute maximum tax, the ceiling, that a country promises it will ever charge on a product coming in from another WTO member. It's a line they agree not to cross.
And this, right here, is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the gap. On one side, you have India's promise. For smartphones, they promised a 0% tariff. But what's the reality according to China? A 15% tax. And it's the same story for solar components. A promise of 0, but an actual tariff of over 20%. That is a massive difference, and it's the foundation of China's complaint.
So, to wrap up this first point, China's argument is pretty straightforward. They're essentially saying, hey, look at the numbers. India made a promise to keep these tariffs at a certain level, and they're blowing way past those maximums. From China's perspective, this is a crystal clear violation of India's WTO commitments.
Okay, let's move on to the second part of China's complaint. Now, this one is a bit more complex. It's not just about taxes at the border. It's about how India is actively trying to boost its own solar industry by, well, favoring local products over imports. Specifically, China is taking aim at one particular government program. It's called the National Program on High-Efficiency Solar PV Modules. This one policy is right at the center of this whole subsidy dispute.
So, how does this program actually work? Well, when you break it down, it's a four-step deal. First, you build a solar factory in India. Second, you promise to make a certain amount of stuff. Third, and listen up, because this is the really important part, you have to meet a minimum local value addition target. You do all that, and boom, you get a cash grant from the government.
I just mentioned that term local value addition, or LVA. Let's be clear on what that means. It's a rule. It says that to get that government money, a certain percentage of your final product's value has to come from Indian parts and Indian labor, not from stuff you imported. And this right here is the absolute heart of China's second argument. It all boils down to this. If you make your solar panels using Indian parts, you can get those government cash grants. But if you use imported parts to make the exact same product, you're probably not going to hit that LVA target. China says this creates two sets of rules, a favorable one for local goods and a less favorable one for imports.
So just how tough is this local content rule? Well, get this. The minimum LVA you might need ranges from 50% all the way up to 90%. That's huge. It means for some of these products, nearly everything has to be made in India to get the full financial incentive.
So you're probably asking, why is India doing this? What's the strategy? Well, to understand their side of the story, you have to look at their massive national initiative called Make in India. And you don't even have to take my word for it. This quote, which actually comes straight from the WTO complaint documents, lays out India's official reasoning. It's all about boosting investment in their own factories, sparking innovation, and just generally building up their entire manufacturing sector.
So when you boil it all down, the policy is designed to do all these things. Kickstart domestic manufacturing, pull in foreign investment, create local supply chains, and crucially, become less dependent on imports. This is the big picture strategy that's now under fire at the WTO.
All right, so we've heard both arguments. Now for the million-dollar question, what happens next? Let's take a look at the road ahead at the World Trade Organization.
Now, it's really important to understand this doesn't immediately jump into some big courtroom drama. Nope. The very first step is a formal 60-day period of consultations. Basically, the WTO tells both sides, you have 2 months. Go talk to each other and try to figure this out.
And here's a map of the potential path forward. It all starts with stage 1, those 60 days of talks. If that doesn't work, things escalate to stage 2. That's when a special panel of experts is brought in to review the whole case and make a ruling. And even after that, there can be a final appeal in stage 3. As you can see, this could be a really long journey.
So when you step back from all the details, this whole dispute really boils down to a classic fundamental tension. On one side, you have a nation's ambition to build up its own industries and secure its economic future, and on the other, you have this set of global rules that's designed to keep the playing field level for everyone. It really leaves us with a huge question for our modern world. With all these competing priorities, where exactly do we draw the line?